During a lab experiment, my senior suddenly said, "Come, kiss." I looked around, no one else was there. Thinking it was some weird scientific ritual, I kissed him. He turned red, stumbled back, and shouted. I said, "Small case. You have a boyfriend, how can you kiss me?" Then he froze, eyes locked behind me. Oh no, my boyfriend was standing right there. Sean was leaning against the door and had clearly been watching for a while. The moment our eyes met, he let out a cold laugh. "Katina, this is what you call doing an experiment? If I hadn't shown up, were you two going to take it to the bed next?" His voice dripped with sarcasm, and my eyes, puffy from crying all night, started to sting again. Sean is my boyfriend. More accurately, my ex. Because last night I told him I wanted to break up. Honestly, I've never felt Sean Williams liked me that much. Even after we got together, he'd still often ditch me to eat, shop, or study with a certain senior from our department. Whenever I got upset about it, he'd snap, "I've known her since high school. If there were anything between us, it would have happened long ago. We're just friends. Same major, same hometown, overlapping circles, easier to talk, that's all. Can you stop overthinking?" Yes. He always blamed everything on my overthinking. And never once acknowledged the special place that senior had with him. Last night was the same. He told me his stomach hurt and he was turning in early. Worried he felt awful, I jumped up to buy medicine, planning to have the dorm manager deliver it. But right by the pharmacy, I saw him with her, again. She didn't look well and plopped down at the roadside. Beer bottle in hand, pretty face streaked with tears. Sean stood in front of her, one hand pressed to his stomach, quietly shielding her from the winter wind. I watched from afar, my face stung raw by the gusts, feeling more and more like a clown. Especially when I heard her ask, "How are you and that little girlfriend of yours?" Sean frowned. "Why bring her up out of nowhere?" "I just feel like, you both like her and don't like her." "Heh. Life's boring. If there's a dog, why not tease it?" Sean said it as naturally as breathing. And my heart dropped into an ice pit. Right then, I decided I was done with him for good. But Sean was my first love. Saying break up is easy. Back in my dorm, I still bawled my eyes out all night like an idiot. So today, when I came to the lab, my head was swimming, and my ears felt stuffed with cotton. Lab mates were chatting about the college entrance exam. I misheard it as barbecue and asked them to add a skewer of wheat gluten for me. A company I'd applied to called and asked, "Are you free for an interview?" I thought it was a spam call and said breezily, "Interview? What interview? I'm a sausage." They choked, then abruptly hung up. Only then did I realize they'd asked if I was available for an interview. And as for my senior, I swear I heard, "Come, kiss." Plus, labs are notoriously superstitious places. One senior once bowed to the equipment, head to the floor, another junior insists on wearing red underwear to collect data. I really thought my senior had some esoteric ritual going on, so I kissed him without hesitation. Obviously, that wasn't it. Sean tossed a few more barbs, then asked me, "Are you staying here to keep making out, or coming to eat with me?" Before, I'd have launched into a torrent of explanations, then grabbed my bag and trailed after him. I was always the first to cave when we fought. Him coming over first this time was basically him handing me a step down. Too bad. I don't need that step anymore. I've got a group dinner with my advisor's lab today. I'm busy. The moment I said it, Sean's face went darker. His eyes drilled into me. Then, after a meaningful glance past me at my senior, he snorted, slammed the door, and left. Silence finally returned to the lab. I just exhaled when my senior called me, Katina Clark. I spun around at once. His expression was complicated, he didn't even know where to start. "What do you two take me for, part of your little couple's play?" I waved my hands, flustered, and explained again that I'd genuinely misheard. Of course, I couldn't avoid mentioning that Sean and I had already broken up. Only then did his face ease up. "Good. I've said from the start you two weren't a match." I wasn't lying to Sean, I did have a lab group dinner. With our advisor absent, everyone was extra hyped. One senior, a board game ace, ordered a few bottles and insisted we play, I have, you haven't. Rules were simple, each person, in turn, states something they've done. Anyone who hasn't done it must bend one finger. Whoever bends 5 fingers first is out, and drinks a glass. She demoed first, grinning, "I've been in a relationship." Several perpetually single lab mates groaned and bent a finger. To my shock, my senior bent one too. He's our lab's only PhD, older than the rest of us by a few years, and he's never dated? While I was processing that, a junior chimed in impishly, riding the momentum, "I've kissed someone." More groans, more bent fingers. The junior nodded, pleased with the carnage, then blinked. "Senior, what's going on? You didn't bend a finger? Haven't you never dated?" At his shout, everyone looked over. My senior's fingers twitched, but stayed honest and unbent. The room erupted. Senior looks so proper, but you're wild and private, huh? Who'd you kiss? When? Kissed but no title, seriously. He pressed his lips together, the tips of his ears flushed. I was dumbfounded. Surely he didn't mean my boneheaded stunt, right? To keep from giving myself away, I forced a laugh and hooped along. They kept pressing. When he wouldn't talk, they used the game to narrow the field on purpose. I've kissed someone this month. His fingers didn't bend. I've kissed someone this week. Still didn't bend, the hooting grew louder and louder. Finally, I've kissed someone today. My senior's fingers paused, then curled into a tight fist. The private room exploded in howls. Everyone's eyes were shining with excitement. Today, senior? Haven't you been in the lab all day? Who'd you kiss? I turtled my neck and didn't dare move. Senior, it's just a game. Did you have to be that honest? On the other side, despite all my efforts to shrink, the female senior suddenly smacked her forehead and called out to me, "Hey, Katina." Where's Katina? Only you and senior were in the lab today. Did you see any suspicious girl come in or out? I waved frantically. Thankfully, my senior sighed and gave in. All right, enough. I'm out this round. I'll drink, okay? She tried to stop him, but it was too late. He tipped back a full glass in one go. What about your car? She asked. He blinked, as if just remembering he'd driven. Everyone else at the table had either been drinking or couldn't drive. Her gaze settled on me again. Hey, Katina, I remember you posted a road trip selfie in your moments, right? And you haven't been drinking. Could you drive senior home later? Is it too late to start drinking now? Senior's tolerance is abysmal. One glass in, and he's properly drunk. Being alone with him in a tiny car was awkward enough. Yet he kept watching me in the rearview mirror. That steady gaze was impossible to ignore, no matter how I tried. Just as I was about to crack a joke to cut the tension, he suddenly blurted, out of nowhere, "Katina, today was my first kiss." I jolted. The car gave a little hop with me. I'm sorry, senior. I meant it. He made a muffled mm. We hit a red light just then. On an empty late-night road, every second seemed to stretch forever. And when you're embarrassed, your fidgeting multiplies. I touched this, then that. Finally my fingers, stiff with nerves, flicked on the radio to fill the silence. But whatever station I landed on had a hostess chirping, "Today is World Kissing Day." In that instant, the stare in the mirror felt like threads of silk. Layer after layer, slow and sticky, wrapping around me. I didn't dare look back, all I could think was that something was off. Senior seemed, a little pure. Like a puppy at the pet shop, someone pats its head and it wants to follow them home. The thought had barely formed when I shook my head hard. Stop it, Katina. Are you even human? He's just drunk. I yelled at myself inwardly and dragged my reason back into place. The light turned green, and I floored it. After he sobered up, we tacitly agreed never to mention it again. He went back to being the unflappable version of himself, patiently and kindly solving everyone's problems. Come to think of it, I've always admired him. Not just because he's brilliant and can carry the whole group on his own. More importantly, no matter what trouble we caused, he always managed to handle it with calm. He's like a steady, mom-friend type, emotionally stable, endlessly tolerant. Well, except when he's not. Like, say, the time I kissed him. My thoughts were a mess when someone shook me hard. Katina? Katina. Senior's calling you, what are you spacing out about? I hadn't caught up to the moment and nearly blurted, huh? Kissing. The finger on Senior's PPT remote paused. Only then did I jolt awake. I was in the middle of our group meeting. Oh my god, my brain is prunes. Thankfully, our senior sister jumped in. She gave 2 awkward laughs to smooth things over. Good thing the advisor isn't here, and senior never yells. By the way, didn't you break up with your boyfriend? Back together already? It happens. My roommate and her guy broke up 5 years and made up 6, I'm impressed every time. I scratched my head, too mortified to speak. Enough. Senior cut her off, coolly. Maybe it was just me, but the patient warmth in his eyes had thinned into something unreadably cool. Study time. Let's not chat about this. In the afternoon I focused on my experiment, eager to perform well in front of him and redeem myself. Then I heard a too familiar voice, Katina. Come out. That rude tone, no need to look to know who it was. Honestly, I didn't want to deal with Sean anymore. But if I didn't go, he'd just stand there in the doorway with his arms crossed. Everyone else stared, curious. I clenched my teeth and went. Sean glanced at me, then looked over my head again. Katina. He talked to me while scanning the lab. Since when do you love studying this much? Camping out here every day? Or are you just trying to hang around that adulterer longer? Every hair on my body stood up. Afraid Senior would hear, I jumped to clap a hand over Sean's mouth and dragged him aside. Only when we were several meters from the door did I hiss at him, watch your mouth. You think everyone is like you? Sean snorted, as if everything suddenly made sense. Knew it. You're mad about Senior's sister again, I've told you 1,000 times, she and I don't care. I cut him off. And in case he'd missed it, I said it again. I don't care. We're broken up. Chase her all you want, I don't care. Stop flattering yourself, okay? Before, I'd read too many romances and got drunk on first love fantasies, which was why I kept clinging to Sean. But now I get it, forced fruit isn't sweet, and I'm too lazy to eat it anyway. I finished and just looked at him, eyes empty of even a speck of feeling. He blinked. After a long moment, he ground out, don't care? Fine. Katina, don't regret it. But I was already pushing past him back into the lab. The run had finished on my screen. I stared at the error message and sent Senior a screenshot. He'd been guiding me step by step a minute ago, but now he said nothing. I craned my neck over 2 monitors to peek at him. He was leaning back, massaging his brow, looking exhausted. Needing his help, I scurried over and asked softly, Senior, are you tired? Let's get dinner, it's about that time anyway. His fingers stilled. After a moment, he opened his eyes and looked at me, something unreadable there. I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat. You should eat a little anyway. Your stomach's not great, be careful or you'll feel awful tonight. His hand lowered slowly, he sat up, just as slowly. That isn't something you need to worry about, Katina. He was sitting with the light behind him. I couldn't quite see his face, and froze. Was he scolding me for having no boundaries? For some reason, my nose prickled. To cover it, I ducked my head and mumbled, got it. Then I slunk back to my seat. My phone buzzed twice. Sniffling, I checked it. Senior's sister had messaged. I snapped a super moody aesthetic shot when your boyfriend showed up. You're welcome. I opened the photo. It was our silhouettes reflected in the glass, Sean and me. So people inside could see us talking outside. Worse, I'd been tugging his sleeve to pull him farther away. But in her photo, it looked like we were walking arm in arm. Fantastic. I wiped my nose and typed back. Not my boyfriend. We broke up ages ago. Huh? Didn't you two make up? No. Not happening. Whoa, okay, I won't bring it up again. She hurriedly unsent the photo. Apparently my mouth had been blessed today. The night wasn't even half over when Senior suddenly doubled over the desk clutching his abdomen, drenched in cold sweat. My seat was closest, so I saw it first. I was about to shout when he signaled me to hush, pulled his coat tight, and lowered his head to walk out. I wrestled with myself for 30 seconds, then bolted after him. I caught him in the parking garage. He could barely stand for the pain. I tried to steady him, he pushed me away. Don't. I can get to the hospital myself. He reached for the driver's door. But the moment he cracked it open, I slipped into the seat. Don't be ridiculous, Senior. You can't drive like this. Get in. I'm taking you. He stood there, rigid for a few seconds, then clenched his jaw and slid into the passenger seat. Watching the sweat bead and drain from his face, his complexion paper white, I hurried to buckle him in. He could hardly move, much less resist. His voice came in broken wisps against my ear, light as feathers. How can you be like this with everyone? He didn't finish. Because I'd already slammed the accelerator. It was over an hour later by the time I had him admitted and settled. I'd just finished paying the fees, handling the paperwork, and brought back a cup of hot water. There were no spare chairs, so I squatted in front of him and held it out. It's not hot. Have a sip. He'd had the injection and wasn't in as much pain, but he was still weak. He took the cup and drank twice, then choked, coughing so hard the room spun, tears welling at the corners of his eyes. I moved without thinking, lifting my hand to wipe them away with my thumb. We both froze. To be fair, that move was a little intimate. He seemed to think so too. He looked up at me. From coughing, his eye corners had gone flushed, and somehow, that only made him look more dangerously attractive. Katina. I heard him call me in a low voice. Have I been too strict with you? Are you trying to get back at me? I shook my head at once. Did I say something careless that hurt you? I shook even harder. What kind of headless, baffling questions were these? But the corners of his eyes were even redder. He looked like he was about to shatter. If not, why would you treat me like this? I'm getting old, don't fish for me anymore. I really can't take it. I froze. It took a long moment before I stammered, tongue-tied, I'm not fishing for you, Senior. Really? He closed his eyes, a wry hint tugging at his mouth. If you're not, then why, when you clearly have a boyf? He cut himself off. He pressed his lips together, fragile. As if whatever he wanted to say was too hard to speak aloud. My brain was mush. I chased him blindly. Have a what? Who has what? What are you talking about? Forget it. He covered his eyes. Must be radiation from experiments fried my brain. I'm overthinking, I'm exhausted. Let me sleep a while. He shut his eyes, leaving me standing there, at a loss, heart knocking wildly. The damp on my finger was still there, even faintly warm. Stupid hand. So quick to move. I pinched my fingertip hard. But I truly wasn't trying to fish for Senior. I just admire him. And he's always so good to us. I give a peach, you return a gem, why can't I? He never opened his eyes again until the drip finished. I rubbed my heated fingertips over and over, a gourd with its mouth sawn shut, too scared to make a sound. At last a nurse came to remove the needle. His sleeve was too long, hiding the catheter. I reached out on reflex to help roll it up. Before I got close, he evaded me without a ripple. My hand froze in midair, hanging there, stupidly. Back at school, he tried to transfer me the money. I watched him unlock his phone and open WeChat. Maybe I was seeing things, but my avatar was pinned at the very top. And the note beside it wasn't a name, more like an equation? Before I could make it out, he turned the screen away, fast. When he faced me again to ask how much to send, I saw my note had already reverted to the proper, boring, class of 2023, Katina. The car was very quiet. I thought it over and couldn't help asking, Senior, did I do something wrong? No. I told you, I overthought it. It's not your fault. His voice had returned to its usual calm, gentle cadence. But I couldn't shake the sense that there was now a thread of distant formality woven through it. I rubbed my nose and murmured, okay. A car passed outside just then. Its headlights skimmed the window, then lit Senior's eyes. The cold white flare flicked across, and somehow he looked indescribably lonesome. He changed the lab schedule. We used to be assigned the same day, now he took Monday, I got Friday. He no longer sat across from me, either, moved to a far corner. He'd park there every day like he was facing a wall. It didn't stop there. Before, if I sent him a question, he'd reply almost instantly. Now he told me to ask in the group chat, and to avoid DMing him if possible. After a few rounds of that, even Senior's sister noticed something was off. When the lab was empty, she leaned over and whispered, Katina, did you tick Senior off? His temper's so good, how did you manage to rile him? What did you do? Tell your sis. I felt wretched, but I didn't dare say it. I'd only been kind enough to drive him to the hospital and, wipe a tear, and he'd stopped talking to me. Seeing I was silent, she let it drop, only sighing, you know how checked out our advisor is. Senior plays dad and mom every day. If you've made mom mad, how are we supposed to live from now on? I twisted my fingers and said nothing. Then she offered a plan, his birthday's coming up. Give him a present and apologize. Be sincere and he'll forgive you. I nodded hard. Made sense. Picking a gift for him was really tough. He didn't seem to lack anything. I watched his back for days before inspiration struck. He's always bent over experiments, what if I bought him a massager? Online shipping might not make it in time, so I went to a mall nearby. The salesgirl recommended several models. I went straight to the most expensive one. At the register, I realized my card balance wasn't enough. I did have a term deposit, but if I broke it now, I'd lose the interest. Seeing me hesitate, the salesgirl caught on and pivoted. Take this one, over 1,000 cheaper, great value. It's our best seller. But it's kind of ugly. I bit my lip. It just felt wrong to give him something that wasn't the best. The air hung for a beat. Then I heard someone behind me speak. Hey, Alan Smith, isn't that your junior? I whipped around to see Senior with 2 or 3 men a short distance away. Whatever event he'd attended, he'd come back in a sharply cut suit under his coat, tie crisp, hair carefully done, a pair of silver-rimmed glasses on. There was an air of restrained polish about him. I knew he was handsome, but this was a bit much. I swallowed without thinking and waved. He walked toward me. What are you doing here? He asked. I stared at his face, my head felt hot, and I suddenly forgot how to breathe. I'm buying a present, but I'm short. By more than 200. He glanced past me at the counter. The salesgirl hurried to explain, I recommended the cheaper one. She didn't like it. Embarrassed, I dropped my gaze to my toes. Then he asked, what are you eating next month? Huh? I looked up, blank. If you buy something that pricey, will you have any living expenses next month? It's okay, my time deposit matures next month. I scratched my head. And I can just eat less. His frown deepened. You like him that much? Enough to go hungry to buy him an expensive gift? I was even more confused. Him? Who? Who's him? Forget it. He lowered his eyes, stepped over, and paid. I'll cover it first. Pay me back slowly, don't starve yourself on purpose. With that, he pushed open the door and left with the others without looking back. Senior is popular, everyone put real thought into their gifts. To show my sincerity, I decided to add a handwritten card. Just then he happened to come by to hand out lab reports. I saw him and reflexively shielded the card. Something like hurt flickered in his eyes. I'm not going to peek at your love letter. It's not, I blurted. It's not a love letter. He clearly didn't buy it. If it's not, why so sneaky? Katina, the lab is for studying. If you can, write it at home next time, okay? I nodded, then shook my head hard. No, really, it wasn't a love letter. That night was his birthday party. After everyone else had given their gifts, I slipped up with my box. Heaven knows how sincere I was, I even tied a huge bow on the massager's packaging. But when he lowered his eyes and saw what it was, his mouth stiffened. Senior? I ventured his title. He let out a breathy laugh, like he was almost amused with anger. Katina, you're giving me something another person didn't want? It's not, it's for you. Right. For me. He forced the words through clenched teeth. He took my gift, set it behind him, and turned away, refusing to look at me. All the lines I'd drafted on the way over died in my throat. How had I never noticed, Senior is actually hard to coax. We still weren't reconciled, and my mood nosedived. The room was rowdy and warm, I hid in a corner and drank. Bottle after bottle, drink enough and you'll inevitably need the bathroom. What I never expected was to run into Sean's white moonlight senior sister there. I was washing my hands, she was touching up her makeup in the mirror. We'd never said hello, but she seemed to recognize me, her gaze turned, complicated. I watched her take out her phone and type furiously. Then she trailed me out. The night air hit my face and my right eyelid twitched. I looked up, and there, not far away, was Sean. His gaze slid past me to someone behind, and he suddenly looked a little flustered. Sis, I came out to check on you. I was afraid you'd run into danger. Save it. Senior sister gave a sharp huh, squeezed past me in a huff. When you're with this one you think of that one, and when you're with that one you think of this one. Everything out of your mouth is like the teeth in an old granny's gums, hardly a word is real. She spoke as she strode away without looking back. Sean chased 2 steps and stopped. He turned, staring at me without blinking. Katina, why did you drink so much? None of your business, is it? I tried to go around him. He shot out his arm and grabbed me. Do you have to talk to me like this? Go look in a mirror at how miserable you are right now. Without me you fall to pieces, and you're still being stubborn. I yanked hard, but couldn't shake him off. I was fuming when a familiar voice sounded beside us. Excuse me. It was Senior. I blurted, Senior, help me. He glanced at me. I clutched his sleeve in a rush. He's harassing me, help me, Senior. Senior lowered his eyes to me, something complicated rolling through them. In the end, he still drew me behind him and, face blank, said to Sean, did you forget your hearing aid at home? You didn't hear her tell you to let go? What's it to you? Sean raked his hair, impatient. I asked around. You're just lab mates. You're sticking your nose way too far in. Then he stepped around Senior and kept glaring at me. Katina, I really don't get you. You keep using him to put on a show with me. That kiss last time was for me to see, right? Just to make me jealous? Play hard to get too much and it doesn't raise my sense of crisis, it just pushes me farther away. But seeing as you're really into me, I'm willing to give you one more chance. As long as you walk over here now, I'll cut things off with Senior sister and get back together with you. I felt every muscle in Senior's arm go taut. Afraid he'd leave, I gripped his sleeve tighter, hid behind him, and snapped, Are you sick, Sean? Do you not understand human language? I don't like you anymore. I wish you and Senior sister a Loctite happily ever after. Before he could spit out more garbage, I dragged Senior away. Only when we reached an empty stretch did Senior pull free. He lowered his eyes to me, and they were bloodshot. Katina, this is the last time. I am not willing to be the seasoning you sprinkle on after your fights. I had never heard his voice so cold. I opened my mouth, not understanding why he'd say that. He turned and walked off. Panic and frustration surged, the grievance that had built all night broke loose, and I actually burst into tears with a loud wah. His steps halted. I kept crying, why are you gentle with everyone else but fierce with me? What heaven-offending thing did I even do? The alcohol seemed to numb my brain, the more I cried, the less I could stop. At some point a warm touch pressed to my face. Senior was wiping my tears. He heaved a long sigh, as if resigning himself. You're crying? I'm the one about to cry. You used me to make him jealous, kissed me, treated me well, wrecked my concentration, and now you fob me off with a second-hand gift. My heart is in little shards. His eyelids trembled like fragile butterflies. Katina. You've got a boyfriend and you're still flirting with me, how is that reasonable? 17, I really must have drunk myself stupid. With all that information, the only thing my brain snagged on was the strangest phrase. What second-hand gift? It was for you. Don't lie to me. I saw you tuck a love letter into it. That wasn't a love letter, just a card. If you don't believe me, open it. He fell quiet. Not for your boyfriend? Where would I get a boyfriend? My head was a fog. I regretted drinking so much, I could not keep up with his train of thought. That very foolish guy just now, isn't he your boyfriend? Senior's look turned odd. At group meeting you said you got back together. No. Senior's sister was kidding. His pupils quaked. Then he sank into a long silence. I was certain something in our communication had gone off the rails. After a while he cleared his throat and asked, "You really don't like him anymore?" No. The gift really was for me. Yes. Then let me go check. A few minutes later he opened my present. His eyes weren't red anymore, his hands weren't shaking. He simply took the mic, said he was tired, and ended the party. The others hadn't had their fill. After a brief huddle, they decided to change venues for round 2. What about you, Katina? Senior's sister asked. She's drunk, Senior answered first. I'll drive her back. Okay then, Senior's sister said, regretful. In the parking lot, Senior didn't rush to leave. He switched on the car light and carefully read my card. I heard him recite, in that gentle voice so many people praised, every word, Senior, let's make up. My face burned fit to explode. I couldn't sit still, I sprang up to snatch the card. He simply lifted his hand high, and I crashed straight into his arms. So soft. My brain went skittering. No wonder he's our lab's mom, his chest is soft, too. I stayed draped there, not moving. He caught my shoulders and set me upright. I agreed to make up. I truly was drunk dumb. At such a critical moment I was still thinking about how he felt, and only hummed mindlessly. Until his face suddenly leaned close. His lashes were so long. I swallowed again. But I have one condition, he said. We can make up, if you agree to let me court you. Huh? I blinked, certain the liquor had given me auditory hallucinations. He suddenly smiled, warm as spring sunlight. You didn't object, so that's a yes. He patted my head, sat back down, and started the car. My CPU was smoking. I had 1,000 questions. But the one I finally asked was the strangest. Senior, you said I was fishing for you, why would you say that? Doesn't matter anymore. Whether or not you cast a net, I've already bitten willingly. He tapped the steering wheel, looking genuinely happy. The lab schedule was switched back. Senior returned to the seat across from me and even wore the massager I'd given him around his neck. To be honest, I do get a bit amnesic when I'm drunk. I don't clearly remember everything from that night. But I do remember Senior said he wanted to pursue me. My heart was skittery again. I stole a glance at him. He happened to be looking back. Before I could jerk my eyes away, he asked, Katina, I'm teaching an undergrad lab tonight. Want a TA? Oh, okay. I nodded, dazed. That evening he uploaded files from the lectern. His WeChat chat list flashed clearly on the big screen. I saw my avatar pinned at the top again. And the note had reverted to that snippet I'd glimpsed once before, a formula. R equals A, 1 minus sin. My heart skipped all over again. The students saw it too. As soon as class ended, someone snuck over to whisper, TA, is Teacher Smith dating? I kept my face calm. Why do you ask? He pinned that equation. If you plot it on axes, it's a heart. The student beamed, full of gossip. I didn't know how to answer. Senior happened to walk by, whether on purpose or not, and said, tactfully, Still courting. The room erupted in howls. When everyone finally left, we walked out of the building together. The cold hit my face and I realized how hot it was. You used WeChat to send the file, was that on purpose for me to see? I asked. Yeah. Wasn't it obvious? Senior, you really... I started and stopped. How had I never noticed? He's a little reservedly flirty. Under a street lamp he pulled a tiny circuit board from his bag. Not very fancy, the very thing he'd just taught in lab. Seeing my confusion, he pressed a switch with a smile. Music buzzed to life with a faint electronic hiss. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Under the amber light he looked a touch shy. For my Katina. Katina. I froze, and only after a long pause remembered to reach for it. Our skin brushed, and I realized his palm was slick with sweat. So the calm had been an act, of course, my palms were sweaty too. I've said it, when I'm nervous, I fidget like mad. I touched this and that and finally squeezed out, Senior, that's very, pure romance. But once we girls are over 20, we prefer pure gold. He nodded, thoughtful. The next day he messaged to ask if I'd go to the mall with him to pick something up. A few hours later, in the car, I stared at the gleaming gold bracelet, my mouth opening and closing, closing and opening. Senior, don't go overboard. He smiled. He wore a gray sweater today, hair neat and soft, he looked very pinchable. Isn't sincerity exactly what courting calls for? But your sincerity is, awfully hefty. The cheap stuff doesn't suit you. He winked. Isn't that what Katina thinks too? And yet that massager didn't cost all that much. It was so cold I wanted to warm my hands in Senior's wallet. He started the engine and asked if I'd like to go to a candlelit dinner. I was still tangled up in complicated feelings. Senior, if I asked for first authorship on your next paper, would you give it to me? I could. Don't. I cut him off before he finished. Don't tempt a cadre with that. I might really go astray. In the lab, everyone said winter had come but Senior had blossomed late. He'd started to dress up, style his hair, even spritz cologne like a peacock unfurling. Hey, Katina, Senior's sister called, you sit closest. Do you smell it? Can I say yes? I thought some gas was leaking in the lab and spent days searching in a panic. Senior, oblivious to being the hot topic, kept right on. To avoid becoming a double act with him, I warned him at dinner not to mention us in front of everyone. He nodded. After a quiet spell he asked, why can't I say it? I think sneaking around behind everyone's backs is bad and also, nothing's official yet. He nodded knowingly again. I get it. Don't worry, Katina. I'm older, I've got patience. Then he paused, looked up at me, and his expression turned fragile. Shattered, yes, but tempting. Katina doesn't mind I'm older, right? I was thrown and stammered, shaking my head, and no. Of course not. Satisfied, he went back to eating. It took me ages to collect myself. Then, all at once, it hit me. Wait. Has he figured out that I'm a sucker for the fragile husband act? On New Year's Eve the whole lab went out to celebrate. Senior came late, but the moment he stepped out of the car, every eye popped. He was wearing the same coat and suit combo I'd seen at the mall, with red-soled shoes to boot. People say our lab has a lot of handsome guys. But next to him, the rest were barely scenery. Amid the squeals, Senior's sister laughed loudest. Good heavens, who set our senior to peacock mode? He glanced over, she pivoted to flattery like a pro, top choice for a partner, can publish in Science and Nature up top, shoot for Vogue and ELLE down below. All right, he chuckled, and came to my side. Do I look good? He asked softly. His tone was even, but the tips of his ears were cherry red. Okay, now I could be sure, at the mall he definitely saw me staring, slack-jawed. He'd been guessing what I liked this whole time. A little good-looking, I said, stuffing at my bangs, feigning calm. The place we picked was Senior Brothers' find. New Year's crowds jammed the city. We waited ages in the lobby and still not a single table opened up. Senior Brother joked, Katina, go seduce them, tug your sweater down a bit, bat your lashes, tell them to eat faster. You're so pretty, they'll definitely listen. What are you saying? Our junior girl jabbed him. We're the same year, I call her Senior sister and you call her Katina? Cheeky younger man not calling her sis, huh? I felt awkward and pretended not to hear that last line. I tossed back, I'm still your senior sister, this is how you treat me. He pressed his lips together, eyes crinkling into smiles, completely unaware the air around us had suddenly gone cold. Over dinner, Senior sister wanted to get us playing a party game again. This game is called Strolling Through Three Gardens, and the rules are simple. The leader sets a category boundary, everyone after can only name things inside that boundary. If you can't, you take a punishment. She demonstrated, for example, I say we're strolling through the fruit garden, you can only say things like apples and pears. Whoever stalls drinks. Got it. Everyone nodded. Senior sister then suggested that before each round we all take turns rolling a die. Whoever rolls highest starts. Are you sure? Senior weighed the dice cup in his hand and suddenly asked. Senior sister blinked, not getting it, and nodded, yeah, that's the fairest. Senior chuckled. We soon understood what he was laughing at. Because for every round that followed, he rolled the highest number. I watched his feather-light gaze land on Junior Brother, and then he said, Strolling Three Gardens, Season's Garden. There were exactly 4 people between him and Junior. After spring, summer, autumn, winter were named, Junior froze and could only drink. Next round, Senior said again, Strolling Three Gardens, for Great Classics Garden. Junior drank again. After a few rounds, Junior finally sensed something was off and swapped seats with someone. This time only 3 people separated him and Senior. Swirling his glass, Senior spoke anew, Strolling Three Gardens, colors of the French flag garden. Junior. He drank again. Senior continued, Strolling Three Gardens, TFBOYS garden. Junior. Say no more. I'll drink. Down went another glass. Junior's face twitched. Then he clapped a hand over his mouth and bolted for the restroom. The atmosphere was peculiar. If anyone still couldn't feel it, that would be the real problem. After a few seconds of silence at the table, Senior Sister probed, "Senior, did you train dice rolling?" Senior nodded. "When I was a kid I wanted to win everything. I practiced along with a TV show." "Then, were you helping Katina vent just now?" "Yes." Senior answered with perfect candor. Senior Sister hesitated. But under his encouraging gaze, she still asked, "Senior's love interest wouldn't happen to be Katina, would it?" "No." We all exhaled. The very next second we heard Senior say, "I'm pursuing her." Pfft. Senior Sister sprayed water. She coughed herself silly, then suddenly remembered, "So when we played I Have, You Don't, the one who kissed but wouldn't give a title, that was Katina too." This time Senior said nothing. He only turned his head slightly and looked at me, my face already on fire. I waved my hands in panic and changed the subject. "Haha, what are you all even saying? Look at those fireworks outside, so big, haha." "Ah? Haha, yeah, huge." Everyone followed with awkward laughs. Back home that night, I immediately scolded Senior. "Senior, what are you doing? We said we'd keep it secret. But if I don't say it, someone's going to pry at my wall." He sent a little crying puppy emoji. "Don't worry, the initiative is still yours. I won't pressure you through anyone else." And I didn't strip him of the right to fair competition, did I? Talk like that, but from that day on, Junior avoided me like a mouse dodging a cat. Once everyone knew, Senior stopped hiding anything. He kept at it, feeding me, bringing me gifts, and conveniently looking after the whole lab while he was at it. Take someone's food and your mouth goes soft, take someone's gifts and your hands get short. Senior Sister led the shipping party. At lunch break she took my hand and spoke earnestly, "I've seen all kinds of men and never misjudged one. Senior's really a good one." She kept talking and chewing, on the chocolates Senior had just bought. "And he's a first love. Probably only knew how to study before, then you gave him one kiss and, boom, opened the gates." At that, Senior Sister slurped milk tea and lowered her voice conspiratorially. "Senior's a Scorpio, right? Scorpio plus older, TSK, I can't even imagine. Feels like the type who does tons of homework beforehand, then gets in bed and still pretends to ask what this is it here, acting fragile while going hard. The minute your reaction spikes, he'll deliberately stop to apologize, ask if it hurts, and wait for you to say, keep going." Crude as it was, there was a kernel of truth. But, wow, was it crude. I was whistling like a boiling kettle and couldn't help sneaking a look at Senior. He was a little way off doing an experiment. Safety goggles on, neat as could be, totally focused on recording data. Senior Sister kept buzzing in my ear, how the never-been-in-love type is easy to train, how a high nose is a man's best dowry. I don't know about his nose, all I knew was my own nose was getting itchier. Then, something warm dripped onto the back of my hand. "Katina!" Senior Sister yelped. "Your nose bleeding? Please don't shout." I grabbed her hand, about to beg, when I saw Senior yank off his goggles and sprint over. He crouched in front of me, face full of worry. "How are you nose bleeding? Are you okay?" I opened my mouth, another drop fell. Senior Sister finally seemed to catch up. She shot me a meaningful look. "Young people. Too much fire." Senior kept asking what was wrong. I couldn't admit it was because my imagination had run wild, so I lied that I was a little heated. He insisted on taking me to the campus clinic. I couldn't talk him down and was pretty much coaxed and herded downstairs. "Katina." We'd barely stepped out when someone called me. "You again?" Senior yanked me behind him. Sean's tone was even harsher than his. "I should be asking why it's you again. Move. I need to talk to Katina." Senior didn't budge. Sean tried to sidestep him. "Katina, you blocked all my contacts, the guard won't let me in. I couldn't find you, so I had to wait here." I glanced at Senior. "Was this you? I was afraid he'd disrupt your studies." Senior's face didn't even twitch. Sean kept lunging toward me. But Senior's arm shot longer every time, blocking him again and again. Sean raked his hair, clearly fuming. "Katina, I want to talk to you." "Make him scram." Senior lowered his eyes to me. They were a little red again. As if I said scram, he'd stage a live tearful breakdown. I sighed. "No need. We have nothing to talk about." I tugged Senior forward. "Sean wouldn't quit and shouted at my back. Senior Sister told me, she saw you at the pharmacy that night. You heard what I said, then you broke up, didn't you? She asked that on purpose. When I found out, I cut ties with her." My steps didn't slow. Sean's voice grew more urgent. "Katina, you know I'm stubborn and bad at apologizing. But I've waited here more than 2 hours. You should get how sincere I am. I really want to get back together." Yeah, I used to think Sean was brash and untamed, incapable of bowing his head. Everything he said seemed wrapped in thorns. We first crossed paths because someone hit me with a ball on the court and refused to apologize. He grabbed the guy, chewed him out, and pressed him to my feet. No apology, no leaving. After we got together, he always said, "My temper's just like this. If you like me, you have to take all of me." I believed it then. Until I saw how cautious he was in front of Senior's sister. Even white moonlight, once in hand, would get on his nerves. How could I ever narcissistically believe he couldn't live without me? I still didn't stop. Sean had to trot to catch up. "Katina, can I apologize? I'm sorry for all the nasty things I said before, okay?" Send him away. Let's talk. I don't believe you could like someone else this fast. He'd shredded all my good mood. Annoyed, I simply grabbed Senior's hand. Can't help it. True love just strikes that suddenly. Senior's fingers stiffened for a heartbeat. Then he laced them with mine, awkward but warm. "Yeah. And I'm going to treat her single-heartedly. I don't eat from the bowl and stare at the pot." All color drained from Sean's face. I realized it was the first time I'd ever seen him at a loss. But what did that have to do with me? Good dogs don't block the road. "Now, could you make way for me and my boyfriend?" I looked at him, impatient. Disbelief flickered in his eyes, his lips kept working. I didn't want to hear another word. I shoved him aside and pulled Senior along faster. Even from far off we heard one last unwilling shout, "Katina, I really regret it. Don't disgust me." I turned back coldly for one final look. "If you have any dignity left, stop clinging like a dog." He went rigid. Some boomerangs are bound to come back and stab you. Farther on, when I tried to let go, Senior's fingers only tightened. "Katina, I'm not giving him any chance." My heart was a little messy. I nodded without speaking. When I tried again to slip my hand out, I heard Senior's slightly trembling voice. "Katina, you were just acting for him, right? You never meant to make me official." I looked up, his eyes were red again, with a sheen of wet. Panic jolted through me. "No, I didn't mean anything else. I only loosened up because I was hot." "Then after you let go, does the boyfriend line still count?" It counts, it counts." I nodded rapidly. Only then did he slowly ease his grip. That day, Senior dropped multiple red packets in the group chat to celebrate his first time officially dating. My luck was awful, I only grabbed a few yuan. While I was sighing, a notification popped up, "Voluntary gift." Then came a string of transfers, "For my Katina. From now on, please take care of me. Extra." As we spent more time together, I found out Senior is really good at pretending. Except when he's drunk and the mask slips, he seems to maintain that calm persona at all times. Even with sweaty palms and ears red to the tips, it never stops him from working, smiling, talking, all with a straight face. I found it fun and kept teasing him on purpose. Tease him enough and not only did his skin get thicker, he got smarter. He knew I wanted to see him nervous and shy, so he simply cooperated, acting green to the hilt. This he needed me to teach, that he needed me to teach, too. Even his catchphrase became, "Katina, I don't know how. Teach me." Even later, when his hand was clamped on my waist and he was kissing me with practiced ease, he was still murmuring that line. Mortified, my scalp steamed. "Shut up, you." He laughed, triumphant, breath warm against the hollow of my neck. Sigh. I sighed in my heart. Senior has really gone bad. Who will give me back my pure, tender husband?